What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, closet swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling good. Last day of the week. About what's today? The 14th? Today's the 14th, so almost about halfway through the month. How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? We got Albert in the house. Good morning to you. We got Anna. Good morning. Bill, Brian, Carlos, Frank, Jay, Jeff, JT. We got Mike in the house. Good morning to Peter, Tim King. We got Tim Thurman in the house. Good morning to all my peeps out in YouTube land. We got Santilla La La saying good morning, sir. Spy gapping down. Tesla up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All my lurkers in the background of YouTube. I appreciate you guys. Just make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Jeff, good morning to you as well. Yeah. A little bit of a gap down. I didn't know the market could do that. I I thought we could only gap up. I thought we could only gap up. But let's see what this does to the actual market. And again, even in YouTube, I'm like, there's two different markets happening right now. So just which one do you want to focus on, I guess. But we got the SPY that is coming down. So again, I have my rando now, rando support 538.88. I'm not putting too much emphasis on that line at all. But in terms of do we have more room to the downside? We do. So if we could get through that little zone, which again I think it comes from a fib from from back in the day. I think that's how I got to that line. So we'll see. We haven't touched that number yet. Otherwise, to the downside, I do have 536.04 is really the next kind of VPOC, so support. You do have slightly better risk to the downside. Higher, we got 542.30, and then right above that, we're sitting at 542.81. So 2 levels of resistance above us. Still inside day from yesterday, and right at the very low of the day for Wednesday's price. So still hanging out in this range. And again, I think we probably do get bought up. Would like to see a couple maybe panic sell candles that open and see if we can go above it. But ultimately, even if we come down and we start testing this 535.95, that's still massively bullish in a longer term direction. We still have all of those moving averages, the 20, not even close to that 536 range. So there does probably need, we talked about this, either some sideways chop or even any kind of pullbacks, start filling some gaps. And then I think that sets us up pretty nicely to continue the run. But I haven't seen anything really, again, that's telling me go bearish yet. The only thing that would tell me that is just, well, the market is high and can it stay this high forever? And the answer is probably no. Probably we need a pullback. I think that would be healthy. I honestly don't even think this 536 zone is that healthy of a pullback. I would like to see a little bit more. I think that would set us up as traders for a lot better of momentum plays going forward, but we'll see. Jeff says SPY got down to your line almost to the penny pre-market. There is some kind of importance. I just can't remember. I should probably label my line. Oh, look at that. Oh. Yeah, so what is the low of this candle? That is wild. The low of this candle. So now I'm even more mad. They actually did touch the line, and that's never going to show on my charts unless I'm looking at the after hours action. So we got down to a penny lower than that that price target. That's kind of wild, actually. I think this comes from a fib, so maybe we do use this as a fib. I don't know. It's like a mysterious line I have on my chart, but I love it so much. I I don't know why. So we did get a little bounce off that. So we'll see. We'll see if that wants to hold. But that is the low of the SPY pre-market. Yeah. Probably should have put some wonders there, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. We do have the 200 on the smaller time frame, so we got 200 above us. That's going to keep us down. I got still have this VPOC, current VPOC from pre-market, a little bit lower than kind of yesterday's close. So even if we get a bounce again, and I said this in the swing room yesterday, I'm not expecting a big move. The only thing that might give that to us is, again, we're still only 2 days after Jerome Powell, 2 days after the dot plot, 2 days after CPI, 1 day after PPI, and the market is digesting the rate cut situation, kind of now trying to rebalance and price in how many rate cuts that they're thinking. We still have a little battle between the bond people and the actual equity people. So We'll see. We'll see which one is the determined winner. But pre-market, that's inverted head and shoulders, and I do think this is probably a retest into at least yesterday's VPOC. So that would be a good little little inverted head and shoulders, and maybe we could rally. First spot of resistance on a short term basis, I would look for that 541. So a little bit of a tight range. Wouldn't be surprised if we just hang out today, but we got the SPY, we got the Qs. Qs also dipping down, still inside yesterday's candle as well. Yesterday we did come back. This would get interesting if we get back down. So I'm looking for support at 474.50. We hit that one perfectly yesterday. That's where that bounce came in. I think if we get back down there, it would be a little bit easier to break that. And there's not a lot to hold us up. I mean, for today, we'd have to be looking at the low of Wednesday's candle. So that opening price could give us a little bit of support. Otherwise, below that, we are looking for this gap fill and probably a little bit lower, 465.45. So we have a little bit of room to go. I don't know that today is going to be that day that we really break out, and probably again, I think we just inside day chop or probably close inside day. That's what I'm banking on. That's what we'll see. And if anything is abnormally trading that doesn't fit that bill, we have the freedom to readjust our thought process. But if this one does come down, that is a little bit now of a weaker support. So I would like to not even kind of re-come down and get to that 474.50 zone. Otherwise, we have 476.80 is our resistance. So you do have a little bit more risk reward to the downside on the Qs from here as well, especially if you do think we could break this 474.50. Then I think you have a nice little trade to the downside. But even with all that said, I mean, this is a red candle. We still closed higher than the previous day. So this is still a bullish candle in general. And we just kind of came in for that retest. It's been retested. So we'll see if momentum wants to continue. TLT. Santilla says oil is up. All right. So maybe a little weakness in some more continued weakness, I guess, in airlines and maybe some cruise ships. TLT. Nice little gap up. So again, this move means yields would be lower. So you got the bond people saying probably two cuts this year, even though Jerome Powell and Dot Plot saying one, but they are still rallying on TLT. So nice little move on this. It is a retest gap if it wants to, and we are opening at a little bit of support. So we'll see if that pulls back, retests 93.92. Otherwise, first little spot of resistance. I think we could break through this one, but this is 94.48. And then after that, we got 94.72. And I think that should be a healthy little resistance. The one notable thing is we definitely broke through this little downtrend. Longer term, we do have a pretty good double bottom, higher lows. That came into a fantastic spot to bounce. So looks like TLT is trying to wake up a little bit. Let me know if you guys got tickers you want to check out. William says AMD. We'll start with that. Santilla says CLSK. Let me know if there's anything else going crazy that you guys want to take a look at. I did set a swing trade yesterday in the swing trade room on AMD. So this is how this one would look. I'm looking to get in 162.83. My target on this one for 1.2 would take me up to 170.14, and then I got a 156.71 as my stop. So I have that set up in the broker yet. Obviously, we'll see if we get filled. And the beauty of this trade, if we just crash, I guess that's the sound of crashing. It sounds like a water gun fight, like when you're 13. So I don't know what sound effect that was, but we're at the 618. So this is the zone we want to hold right now, as long as those numbers are to the penny accurate, which they might be off a little bit. But we're very close at 618. Right now, I have it opening under the 618. So not that bullish whatsoever. But why I do like this trade is you got a nice little high wave indecision. We did pull back a little bit. If this thing wants to rally, we could grab some of that momentum. And we're gonna have a couple spots of resistance ahead of us, but we should be able to get stops up and then targets into this 170.14 zone. Otherwise, if we just end up on the downside, we'd cancel the order. No big deal. So I like having that option on this one. Otherwise, it does look like we are still a little bit bearish. Obviously, AMD has been kind of pulling back, lagging, not as strong. So I wouldn't, I'm not going to write it off as that we're not going to end up coming lower. It would make sense if we did, but otherwise, you are at a pretty key spot. We have the opportunity to get in even above that 50% retracement, and we'll see what happens. In terms of risk reward, if you're in the bull camp on AMD, which at this moment, with this open, I'm not really. But if we're able to come in and if you're like, hey, I love AMD and I'm bullish on it, you do have some risk reward. I would probably still have my stops close to this 156.71, even at open. And you might want to wait for like a little sell off candle, take a break, something like that. But even right now, you're risking less than $2 on this trade. That's going to be your dead zone. If we start breaking down underneath this candle, we probably head for a much bigger retracement. I would say the next spot to look is about 152.95, and we do have this untested VPOC below the 200, which isn't that sexy, but that's 145.77. The problem with that is you would be getting under that 200 and got to battle back a little bit, and you're probably looking for a much bigger kind of double bottom on this one. So we'll see what happens. But you do have risk reward to the bull side today. Not incredible amounts. Your first, if we open here, your first little spot that I think resistance comes in is about 158.80. And then maybe you could get into this today, at least this 160.61. High wave indecision. Usually you have a little couple candles just kind of rocking just in that zone until a decision finally gets made. So that's why I'm looking for the breakout on a longer term kind of swing trade. But again, if it doesn't happen, that would be a cancel. And but yeah, nothing crazy. I wouldn't say I'm really excited to be a bull on AMD today with that gap opening price of 158 below 158.74. So I think we probably end up getting some pressure to the downside on AMD today. Let's see, we got CLSK. CLSK. Oh, gapping down by 3 pennies, so nothing too crazy. Still inside day from yesterday. You do have three pretty strong days. If you're not in this thing, I probably would want to see some kind of a pullback almost into the 1689 zone for some kind of entry, at least on a swing trade basis. Day trade, I don't really have any edge one way or the other. I got resistance up at 1839. That's exactly where we hit. Maybe we were a penny shy of that yesterday, but that did act as resistance. So if we do want to get momentum and that resistance is a little bit easier to get probably taken out today, but I don't know that we can do that. So again, probably a little chop. For day trade basis, we'll see if 1774 holds on this one. So see if we get a little pullback into yesterday's VPOC. Somewhere around that zone, and then you might get a little bit better risk reward into that resistance, and then probably shave a couple shares there, and then see if you get that breakthrough. More than likely, I'd want to play that one. GLD. GLD. Gold, little get good gap and go. I think this one does gap a little bit more frequently than probably a normal stock. It's a good gap and go. You got the 20 right above you. I also got a VPOC up here, 20 or 20, 216.12. So you got a little bit of resistance above you on this one. Otherwise, that could be double bottom. Do we have a wave count in here? 1, 2, 3, 4. That could be on a very small basis, wave 5. And then to the bear side of things, that might be a little bit of head and shoulder. You have an untested VPOC, so maybe if we get really strong today, watch. I think this 219.37 is going to be a big resistance on it, but you're still inside of here as well. I don't know that's going to have enough momentum to get past this 216 today, 216.07. But it is a gap and go. We should be watching that one. I'd prefer to play it long rather than short. NFLX. Netflix. Retest gap right into a little resistance. So you got 661. We'll say 20, but 661 20. Could be a little bit of resistance to the news. Netflix seeks production partner for Christmas NFL games. Disney, Comcast, Paramount Global reported in the mix. Does Netflix have the Christmas games? Are they on Netflix? I didn't know they had that contract. Interesting. But we do have a little bit of gap up. This should be a retest into that resistance. So watch this 160-120 zone. If we start to break out of there, maybe we see more upside for this one longer term. This is not a whole heck of a lot of resistance holding us back for a little bit at least. I'm looking at you got a little resistance, I guess 666.23, and then if we get through that, we're probably looking back for like 682. 682.83. So we're kind of getting close to some of those highs on that last peak. But yeah, I would need a pullback on this one. Definitely one to watch though. We'll scoot this one up on the list. If it gives me some kind of a pullback first, a decent one into that VPOC, yeah, it's got all momentum to the bull direction. We got Twilio, TWLO. Twilio. Was that earnings? No. Little downgrade. Cut from equal weight. Cut to equal weight from overweight. So a little MS Morgan Stanley downgrade. What's their price target? Did they put one? Price card target cut to 60 from 70. Where are we at now? So yeah, that's another price target cut, still higher. Take that for what it is. I don't see a whole lot of volume in here. So maybe we come down a little bit lower into the a really good spot to try, I think would be somewhere around this 50, 68 zone. So we could have a little bit more room to the downside on this one. This is a retest gap, though. There's definitely a lot of selling on Twilio into this. And we are at a small little resistance. So I would probably give this one at least a 3-minute candle. I'd really want this thing to hold this 53.20 zone, which is essentially where we're opening now. If we start to break down, then yeah, I have a target a little bit lower, 51.21. So big level for this one, being that it is a retest gap. See if you get any almost bear traps out of the gate, hammer out of the gate. I think I'd instead of even the high wave candle, I'd probably prefer a little trapping candle somewhere, and then see if we can kind of come up and maybe we could retest this as like 55.43 today. We'll get this one higher on the list as well. That one right up into that zone. I think I missed one somewhere. Did I? HAS Hasbro. The Hasbro. Okay, gap up. Big resistance. So this is a gap and go. Just be careful of some of these levels up here. Almost want to see some closing past $60.40. So give it another 8 cents higher. Maybe even break that, come down, retest that 60-40 zone. But that is a pretty good, it is a gap and go, just right into that resistance. I don't think this one's got typically a lot of volume on it for day trade purpose. But decent gap up. They got an upgrade from BFA. But yeah, you got a little bit of resistance right there on Hasbro. We're gonna have to fight through on that one. PDD. Gap down into a small little support. And then you got resistance right above you. So first support on this one is 148.45. So I'm not going to be able to get much to the downside. Even if we do break that, I got 147.78 to the higher side. My first resistance coming in around 149.45 and then up to 151.30. So I honestly don't have a big range on this one. And then even to the downside on this gap, You got that 20 coming in at 146.10. So just not a whole lot of range on it. Your setup's going to be probably kind of tight if you're taking it, but I think you get a little bit more Chopzilla on PDD for today. Shopify, SHOP. Maybe my favorite gap. That's a sneaky little gap. Targets are I got targets higher than that 200, but I can't ignore that 200. So we do have probably somewhere around 67.52. That's going to give us about $1.55 to the higher side into that 200. Actual target on this one would be up to 168.48. No. That's dyslexia. 168.84. If we could get a little high wave candle on it, something we could take a break, maybe even a pre-market. Here's what I hate. Here's what I don't like. I don't like all of that momentum already happening. I would have preferred that this thing pulls back. Some of those people who are already profitable in this move from clear little double bottom breakout, people that are even taking above this one, but even yesterday's candle really just came in and pretty much almost retested that little support. And you do have a gap up right above that VPOC. It was like Nvidia from I think 2 days ago looked very similar to it. That's going to be concerning. Otherwise, I do have targets here and then targets up into this range as well. Yeah, that might be my favorite gap today. I'm going to be watching Shopify closely. So maybe a small little pullback at open would be tremendous. AAPL. Apple. Just kind of hanging out. So we're at yesterday's VPOC now. Obviously, a lot of breakout momentum. I don't know if this is pulling back enough for the buy the dippers at this point because we're up pretty massively in the last 2-3 days. To the downside, I have 205.20. So higher side than this, I got 217.08. So technically, you do have a little bit better risk reward on this pullback than you do going bullish. You're fighting a strong breakout on Apple. And we'll have to see where this one opens. So right now we did just dip below that VPOC a little bit. So we'll see where this one opens. Still inside day from yesterday. I'm losing a little bit of edge. Probably some bulls are going to come in where they came in yesterday, 211.70. And if that starts to break, we have a lot of room to pull back even into like this 207.33 for today. And then 205.23 would be probably a decent amount of bulls waiting in that zone. So more than likely after that type of breakout, a little bit of a couple days of chop, pull back, profit taking, especially into a weekend. So I'm losing a little bit of edge on that high wave. We got ARM. It's another one that had a pretty good breakout 2 days ago. We've also had one, two. That's an inside day, so we won't count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green days in a row. And we could go back even further than that too. But almost at all-time highs. Momentum is to the bull side. You're even gapping up here. Again, for day trade purpose, we could day trade this one, but I would need a pullback here as well. Specifically back to like 156.90 at least. So if we get into that, okay, cool. Then I'm willing to maybe take a small little day trade on it, play it to the bullish side. I wouldn't be playing on that momentum, that push. I wouldn't be playing it bearish. If you do want to go bearish, your first spot is okay. You got the high wave. Maybe we don't break out here, or we throw in some kind of trap candle, and then maybe under that 150.46. But even with that, I would not be that comfortable. How many contracts you normally position size? That just depends on your how many. I think you're asking how many contracts would you buy normally to position size. That's really up to your account size. Yep. So everybody would be a little bit different. Anytime I get into a trade, I know exactly what my risk is. And if I'm trading options, you could look at it as AB zero, so absolute zero. You could pick up any contracts like that where if it just expires worthless, you've lost an R and you know exactly how much you're going to lose. You don't have to play it that way too. So the other way to do it would be you could throw just like trading stocks. You could throw stops out on contracts. But then I'm typically flipping over to TOS just to see levels of how that contract trades so I can get decent stop levels. Uh Pins. Oh yeah, and then we should look at we got 2 minutes. Adobe was reporting earnings as well. And I think the fade is the way to go on that one too. Yep. But pins, we got a little bit of a pullback that is selling yesterday. My assumption would be we get some kind of a pop at open on this one, some kind of profit taking from this move, especially running into a little resistance. We had a good breakout. You've had some short sellers start coming in. They might want to take profits at the zone. So we'll get pins up a little bit higher. Maybe we can make something to a bull direction. So fade on this one would make sense. We do have some zones a little bit lower if we want to sell into like the 4150. I could fully understand that as well. The Adobe. Adobe, really good gap. Huge, huge, huge downtrends. I think this is a tough one. I like it as a fade. We are into some resistance. Question is, where do I want to fade this thing? And then how far does it go? It's a really good gap. Targets to me would be about 519. I'd start getting a little concerned, a little worried. Maybe we come down a little bit into this 20 EMA, and that could get us a little extra profit, 513.27. If we could get a bull candle out of the gate, I would look to fade this one. Otherwise, it's a big gap up with the amount of resistance we have above us. So we're opening at one. The next spot, 538.72. The next one from there, 544. We could get up into some of those zones. I think the bullish side on this one probably is maybe killed. But yeah, I would be looking for a fade, but probably just not right out of the gate. So maybe a 10 made to the bear side. That might be a decent play on this one. But yeah, you got definitely downtrend, lots of bag holders, and now you're trapping some of those bears as well. So everyone's just trapped on Adobe. We will see. Alert on Baba. I forget why I set that one. Oh, that was afternoon room last night. But that is the opening bell. So make sure everybody on YouTube, you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Have a great weekend.